John 12:12-16. The next day, the large crowd that had come to the feast heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem. So they took branches of palm trees and went out to meet him, crying, "Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, even the King of Israel." And Jesus found a young donkey and sat on it, just as it is written, "Fear not, daughter of Zion. Behold, your king is coming, sitting on a donkey's colt." His disciples did not understand these things at first, but when Jesus was glorified, then they remembered that these things had been written about him and had been done to him. When you're taken out of your regular rhythm, sometimes you forget what day of the week it is. This happened to me while traveling by bicycle in Europe. After weeks of traveling in a similar pattern, we would stop at a small town for provisions, only to find that everything was closed. It was Sunday, and we had not been aware. I mentioned in our newsletter that I almost forgot about Palm Sunday. Being caught up in other news about COVID-19 and in other patterns of life arising from our collective adjustment, and Palm Sunday is one of my favorites. Forgetting and remembering. That's our constant struggle. Or perhaps more to the point, remembering to keep what is most important at the forefront. As the psalmist says, "I have set the Lord ever before me, because God is at my right hand, I will never be moved." As part of Christ's church, we are a group of people who have chosen to follow Jesus and to practice his way as we seek God's will. Just as our spiritual ancestors gave us the song to remember, "I have set the Lord ever before me," we also remind one another to fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Hebrews 2:12. That's why we keep celebrating Palm Sunday year after year. We sing Hosanna, and we wave palm branches. We read the story of the Triumphal Entry, where Jesus is hailed as a king riding on a donkey into Jerusalem. It's in order to keep Jesus ever before us, a reminder of what's most important. And it's important for us to remember that Jesus is one who shows up contrary to our expectations. The triumphal entry into Jerusalem is really moving Jesus towards death. Where crowds are hailing a king at the beginning of the week, by the end they are shouting, "Crucify." How quickly things can change. But Jesus knew this. The Messiah, who is to save his people from their sins, comes not as a conqueror, but as a peacemaker. He comes humbly, not on a war horse, but on a donkey's colt. He comes not to make others submit to his will, but to submit to the Father's will for him. He comes to draw all people to himself, not as the supreme leader, but as the crucified one, lifted up. If you are in a place of humility or vulnerability, rejoice and be glad. You are near to Jesus. Don't fight it or resist it, but go out to meet him in your spirit, because we are not invited into a triumphant, conquering reality where we become our best selves as we might envision, but rather we are invited to take up our cross each day and follow him. Are we disappointed because our plans changed? Let us fix our eyes on Jesus. Are we wondering where we'll get our provision? Let us fix our eyes on Jesus. Are we fearful for our financial future? Let us fix our eyes on Jesus. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of God.